Simon, it's all happening in the world of darts because, as we've seen, there is a new kid on the block, literally, 16-year-old Luke Littler. Have you been watching some of it?
I have.
What do you make of this lad?
I think he's done remarkably well. I think his attitude with the media, his attitude with the fans when he's under pressure, when he's trying to check out on 170 and turning to the audience and asking them what they think he should do, just shows you he's in complete control of what he's doing. He's demolishing people. You know, Raymond Van Barneveld was in here before Christmas, wasn't he? And obviously he's lost a lot of weight and in a different lease of life. But he was pretty much battered. Okay, he hasn't been in the greatest of form, and he didn't expect much of himself in this tournament, but he wouldn't have expected to have gotten battered by a 16-year-old.
Sure.
Who was apparently his hero.
The boy from Warrington has done very well and could do even better. He's in the semi-finals. Who's to say he doesn't go the whole way? This was Luke after his latest victory.
It's been crazy all over social media, and even when I went to the Arsenal game and the Tottenham game, people are just coming up to me. Yesterday I was in James Maddison's box. Like, they're waiting for Maddison, but as soon as I walked out, they just swore me. I was like, James is in there waiting for him. But yeah, it's all gone crazy, and I'm glad I'm known and people want to get pictures.
So where's this going then? Luke Littler, 16 years of age, and he's now in the semi-finals of the biggest tournament in the darts world. Do you think lots of kids watching this now, Simon, are thinking, I want to be Luke Littler. I want to grow up and be a darts player. Is that where we're going with this?
Well, I think it's a great sport. I think people say it's not a sport, but I mean, I did a podcast with James Wade, who's a great darts player, and I learnt a lot from him about the sport. I grew up loving the sport, admiring Erik Bristow, Jockey Wilson, Cliff Lazarenko.
There's no kind of athletic prowess involved, though.
No, but there's still a requirement to have great concentration in the same way there's great concentration in snooker. There's still a requirement to have great accuracy to be able to overcome pressure. I mean, it's not the same physical attributes, of course, of tennis or cricket or rugby or football. Granted, neither does it profess to be so. And I would like to hear the protagonists not coming off the stage suggesting that their pre-match meal was a kebab, but that's a different discussion.
You see, that's darts, though, isn't it?
It is darts. And look at
it still hold an unfashionable image. It's impossible to change.
But every sport that Sky touch becomes Skyified. Look at what they did to football. Without Sky, whatever I think of it now, you know, influencers and 12-year-old opinions is a different discussion. But the genesis of football in this country was absolutely Skyified. Look at what they've done to snooker. Look at what they're doing to darts. Look at the engagement. Look at the level of interest that comes around. Yes, once upon a time it was on terrestrial television, and it was, you know, Erik Bristow and Jockey Wilson and John Lowe and whoever else was in situ dominated ratings because of the nature of the terrestrial broadcasters being the only competitors around for broadcasting. I think it's a great sport. I think it brings people together.
Did you want to be a darts player?
No, I
reliably informed you the darts board in your bedroom.
I did. I lived and breathed like darts during that period of time, especially over New Year when you had the World Championships. But I was a big fan of Erik Bristow. I got to play a leg against Erik Bristow in Croydon once. I just think he had great personality, and I loved watching the darts. But this kid is 16 years of age. He's got the world at his feet. I mean, I saw Gary Anderson come out the other day and have a little pop at the media. I make this point regularly about young participants in sports that are interesting to the media. We saw it with the tennis player Emma Raducanu and the decisions that she's made that I don't think have enhanced her career by outside interests. You've got this kid now being focused on by the media.
So is Littler wrong to be pictured with Maddison?
Not necessarily. As long as depends what kind of character the kid is. He's in the middle of a tournament and there's a media interest in him. He went to a football match. And as a result of it, people were interested in the fact that he went to a football match and took pictures of him. So I don't think it's quite the same thing as commercially engaging himself with every single brand, going to red carpet events and being the focus of attention for a social butterfly media mentality, which will focus you in the wrong direction. He's 16 years of age. Gary's argument about the media is also flawed because without the media, you guys would be doing exhibitions for a couple of grand.
Of course.
You're playing tournaments now for 500 grand. You're playing in the Premier League of darts where they're paying lots and lots of money. The interest levels through the ceiling because of the way the media have represented the sport. So you know you have to dance with the devil, and you can't just blame the media. It's a scorpion and a frog story. We know what the media does. So why don't you get people around you to give you the right advice? And he needs the right advice. He's 16 years of age. His parents need to be involved, need to say to him when to speak to the media and when not to. The novelty wears off pretty quick.
How about Gary Anderson saying enjoy it? because you've earned this. You've brought it upon yourself because of your own ability.
I don't know what the genesis of his
16.
He is, yeah, and it's.
What does Gary Anderson expect the media to do? Sit back and watch a 16-year-old get to the semi-final stage? Who's to say not the final stage? Who's to say it doesn't win it? And do nothing about it?
I suspect that there's probably a greater responsibility on the people at the PDC to step in and to say, look, we need to manage this kid. He's a prestigious talent.
And do what?
And to suggest there's too much media being done, or ultimately there's a certain amount of
media.
media.
How about embracing it?
Well, look, I don't necessarily agree with all that Gary said. I understand where he's coming from, because I do think there's certain aspects of the way that the media hold on to things that they turn it into a circus. But it's also incumbent upon those around Luke to look after him, to make sure that he's in the right place at the right time.
And of course, think he needs much looking after.
Well, he will do. He absolutely will do.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.